Good evening, members, and welcome to all those present, including members of the public and press. Before we begin, I need to go over the usual housekeeping rules. There are no fire drills planned for this evening, so if the fire alarm sounds, please leave the building by the nearest exit and assemble in the Queen's Gardens at the front of this building. Please do not re-enter the building until you're advised to do so. Please also ensure that your mobile phones have been switched off or are set to silent. I welcome those joining in the public gallery and would ask that they follow any guidance and instructions given by anyone seated at the top table. This council meeting is being recorded. The recording will be available on the Borough Council's website. I would like to remind members that standards of behaviour for meetings set out in the Council's standing orders apply, and as usual, we have set protocols around speaking during this meeting. No member should speak until invited to do so. If you wish to speak, please could I ask you to raise and keep your hand held high until you have been acknowledged. Please would all members in the room use their microphones whenever they speak, as without them, anyone watching online will not be able to hear you. To use the microphones, please press the button at the front and centre when invited to speak, and wait for a moment for the light on your microphone to come on. Please remember to turn your microphone off once you have finished. Members, in the interest of managing the meeting, please do not approach anyone seated at the top table for advice without first gaining agreement. Should you wish to do so, please raise your hand high. And please could I ask at the end of the meeting to make sure that you take all your belongings and any litter with you. Thank you. We will now commence the business for this evening. Agenda item 1, apologies. Members, this is the first item. Oh, I'm sorry, I've turned over 2 pages. My apologies, members. I turned over 2 pages and I was looking for this page, but I didn't find it. Before we commence with the business, I was saddened to learn of the death of a former mayor, Joseph Harry Matthews. So I would propose that we hold a minute's silence in tribute, after which I will ask members to pay tribute. And I do apologise for inadvertently turning over 2 pages at once in my script. So please stand. Thank you. Please be seated. Councillor Simon Tagg, would you like to lead tributes to Joseph known as Harry Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, Harry Matthews served on this council between 1983 and 2002 for the Madeley ward, and was the borough mayor between 1989 and 1990, and deputy leader of the council between 1999 and 2002, as well as serving on many committees and chairing the planning committee over the years, and became an alderman, I believe, in 2015. I didn't serve on the council with Harry Matthews, but some in this chamber did. I'm sure we'll have personal attributes to bring in a moment, but I did meet him many times over the last 20 years or so that I've been involved, and it was also an honour to serve with his son Ian Matthews as a councillor, colleague of mine in Maybank for many years. So I'd like to send my condolences on behalf of myself, the group and the council to his family at this sad time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Councillor John Williams, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to echo the leader's words. I was chair of planning committee when I first became a councillor. His door was always open and would give his advice in a fair and respectful manner. Those of us who were involved with the planning process know that some of the decisions are successful, some are not so. Harry would take criticism in a fair and balanced way and then show you the door. Joking apart, I was great to work with and treated the councillors from all political parties in a friendly and courteous manner. He represented the Madeley ward on this council for many years. He loved to take his Labrador dog with him when he walked around his ward. I remember one incident when the lake in Madeley village centre had to be drained because of it silting up. A very sad time for Harry and the residents of Madeley. But it all went well when the silt was removed, water restored, and the area landscaped. He then referred that it was the borough's jewel in the crown. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Would any other members like to speak? In which case, please raise your hands. Thank you. Moving on. Members, the first item on the agenda is apologies. I have received apologies from Councillors Lewis, Fox-Hewitt, Wright and Stubbs. Do we have any other further apologies, please? Councillor Tagg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Bryant, Councillor Waring, Jill, Councillor Waring, Paul, Councillor Skelding and Councillor Burnett. I understand Councillor Northcott may be joining us a bit later, so I won't give his apologies at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Councillor Jones.
Hopefully not as an apology I need to make, but just to make you aware, Mr. Mayor, I'm on call tonight, so if I get a call, I will have to leave the meeting and will probably not return, but just to make you aware.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. In the event of that happening, if you just leave as quickly and as quietly as possible, there's no need for further reference. Thank you. Members, the next item on the agenda, number 2, is declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest from any members or officers in relation to any items of business contained within the agenda? No? Fine, thank you. Agenda item 3. Members, is to approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 23rd of July 2025. You will find those minutes on pages 5 to 14 of your agenda. Can the minutes be agreed? Fine, thank you. Agenda item 4 is Mayor's announcements. I've got a couple of things to announce today. Unfortunately, my Music Under the Stars charity event on Friday the 26th of September has had to be cancelled due to availability issues. The event will be replaced by another event in May. The mayoral walk on Tuesday, the 30th of September, has now been moved to Sunday, the 5th of October. So that's Sunday, the 5th of October is the date of the next walk. The remaining walks thereafter are on Sunday, the 12th of October, Saturday, the 25th of October, and Saturday, the 8th of November, when we will finish at the Brampton Museum with a cream tea and fizz, which does need to be booked in advance via Jeff Durham. Members, we now turn to the next item of business on this evening's agenda, which is for the appointment of a Section 151 officer. The recommended appointee will now leave the room. A copy of the report can be found on pages 5 to 7 of your supplementary agenda. Councillor Simon Tagg, will you please now introduce the report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It gives me great pleasure to move that full council appoints Craig Turner as Service Director for Finance and Section 151 Officer. Craig joined the Borough Council in year 2000 as a junior role and has worked his way through the authority while gaining his professional qualifications and has become a key officer in advising our member-led efficiency board since 2018 that ensured that we've made the required savings to keep council tax down while enhancing services to our residents. The cross-party appointment committee were pleased to recommend his appointment following a vigorous appointment process. The vacancy was created following the current post holder taking up another post elsewhere, and I'd like to thank Sarah Wilkes, who's at the front, for her work for the council over many years, and this will be her last meeting before she takes up her new role with the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner's office. So I wish her all the best for the future, and also like to welcome Craig to his new role if full council would support his appointment as our Section 151 officer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Councillor Sweeney, would you like to second the recommendation?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, it gives me great pleasure to do that. I've known Craig for a number of years now, and he's invariably helpful. He's very, very knowledgeable. I know if Paul Waring was sitting here now, he'd endorse everything I'd say. And I don't want to speak on behalf of Mike Stubbs, but I will do. I'm pretty sure that Mike would say exactly the same as me. He's an excellent officer. He totally deserves the role. And I find it very pleasing to promote people from within. It shows a good career progression, and well done to Craig. And I've 100% faith in him. And I'm happy to second it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sweeney. Members, we now move to the debate. Would any members wishing to speak please raise their hands high? Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to say that we also agree. We think this is an absolutely fantastic appointment and a really good testament to growing your own and development within. And I can speak for Councillor Stubbs, and he agrees that this is a very good appointment. But really, on behalf of my group, we'd like to wish Sarah all the best. You've been an incredible support to us. You've been incredible in your position, and we wish you all the best with your future endeavours. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Sweeney.
Yeah, just apologise to Sarah. I didn't say anything about you. I think, sorry about that, Sarah. No, I think you're an excellent officer. I wish you every good luck and in your future roles with the Police and Crime Commissioner. I wish you all the best, and I'd love to working with you. With you. Thank you very much.
Councillor Wheeldon.
Just a quick comment. I count Sarah as a friend as well as a font of knowledge when I've needed it. from an accountancy point of view, I've always called her Mrs. Sums, and she will still be Mrs. Sums to me wherever she is. Thank you so much for all your help in the past, Sarah. Appreciate it greatly.
Thank you, Councillor Wheeldon. It's not in the script, but in my capacity as chairing the meeting, I can vary it. And so, Sarah, can you accept my best wishes for the future as well? Thank you. Councillor Simon Tagg, would you like to sum up, please?
So I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. The recommendations have been moved and seconded, and so we will now move to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Thank you. That would appear to be totally unanimous. So there were no possibility of votes against or abstentions because everyone raised their hands. So thank you for that. The motion is carried and the appointed Section 151 officer will now rejoin us, please. The applause slightly gives the game away, but my congratulations on your appointment, the Section 151 officer. And without waiting for the on-stream at a later date, it was unanimous. Members, we now turn to the next item of business on this evening's agenda, which is the annual report. A copy of the report can be found on pages 15 to 43 of your agenda. Councillor Simon Tagg, will you please now introduce the report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I extend my congratulations on the appointment to Craig as well. Welcome to the team. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anyway, I'm pleased to introduce the annual report for 2024-2025, which reflects another year of strong delivery, community partnership and community engagement with partners, and also momentum on the regeneration of our borough. This report marks the third of the reports that we brought on our 2022 to 2026 council plan. And despite the ongoing financial pressures facing local government, we've maintained a balanced budget, continue to deliver high quality services that are value for money to our residents. We've seen real progress with the £85 million Newcastle town centre regeneration. We've seen the car park open, of course, but that just unlocks further developments which will take place on Rycroft, Midway and Astley Place. We've seen the opening of Keeling Town and also the market improvements right in the centre of our historic town. In Kidsgrove, plans are underway for the town centre and train station developments. And these will create that vibrant town centre we're looking to create in Kidsgrove, linked to the station and the canal as well. And also it will help attract inward investment as well through the enterprise units in the centre of town, and will hopefully improve the quality of life for residents and the opportunities for them also in Kidsgrove. We've worked through the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, which has been recognised nationally for the £4.8 million worth of projects delivered across 33 projects, and a further £1.5 million has been secured for projects that have been delivered over the next year. This includes the ongoing transformation of Navigation House into a homelessness hub, an important step in supporting some of the most vulnerable residents in our community. We've also launched our Civic Pride initiative, which is already making a difference in communities across the borough, from action days to the new Civic Pride Investment Fund, where we're receiving applications and giving funds out to worthy community causes that promote civic pride. And we're working with partners and residents to help make their neighbourhoods cleaner, safer, and ultimately friendlier. We continue to stand up for our residents on the issues of Wally's Quarry. It's on the leader statement later. I won't go into this in too much detail, but since the site closed, the Environment Agency have been taking the lead on making the site secure, and we remain committed to ensuring accountability and the full closure, capping off and restoration of that site. The annual report, Mr. Mayor, also highlights our achievement in sustainability with a successful bid for £3.2 million from the Decarbonisation Fund for J2 and the adoption of our updated sustainable environment strategy, which continues our steady progress towards protecting our environment, enhancing our green spaces and energy efficiency. We support residents through active lifestyle programmes attached to J2, for example, and improved recycling rates have been achieved by our recycling teams. And we brought empty homes back into use, and we delivered new and maintained high standards in street cleanliness. And we've been working closely with the police on antisocial behaviour and community safety, which has led to improvements within our town centre here in Newcastle. Finally, I'd like to thank fellow Cabinet members, officers and partners for their dedication during this period of this annual report. Whether it's the Brampton Museum winning awards, whether it's our bereavement service being nationally recognised, or our people's team being shortlisted for excellence in management, or the further success of Britain in Bloom with the town centre winning the bid category for the regional, and now of course we're into the national finals for that, we'll hear later in the year. Shows that this council is delivering for the residents of our borough. Let's continue to build on that success, champion our communities and shape the borough so that it's a prosperous, sustainable, welcoming place for all. That is the main tagline in our council plan, which we're working to by this annual report being brought for the third year. So I move the recommendation that we accept the annual report, Mr. Mayor, and open it up to conversation and comments.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Councillor Sweeney, would you like to second the recommendations?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would. I'd also like to say a few words if I'd be so bold. I'll just go on the finance element of it, which is really my part of it. And a few little highlights that I've written down here. A balanced budget was again agreed by the financially well-managed council, not my words, they're in the report, for 25-26 with feasible and sustainable savings being identified via the well-established Financial Efficiency Board process, which is started again. The savings and funding strategies have enabled continued investment of £250,000 in the council's priorities via the Civic Growth Fund. During 24-25, the council has used resources to greatly improve the situation for local residents relating to the Wally's Quarry environmental crisis. £26 million of capital expenditure has been invested during 25-26, largely into regeneration and infrastructure projects within the borough. We'll see the leader's just been talking about that, and hopefully quite soon we'll be seeing cranes going up in the town. And we all love to see cranes. That's our real progress, how we're working with this money. But the final thing I'd like to say on this, which is tremendous really, is the transformational One Council programme has made recurrent savings of £1.173 million. Now that cost £1 million investment to get that, but that £1.173 million goes on and on and on year after year. And I think it's a tremendous achievement because I don't think our residents have seen a cut in the services. So I'd absolutely support this. I think it's a good report. It's well written. It's easy to read. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any pictures of me in it, but never mind. But it's a good report. Happy to endorse it and happy to second it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sweeney. Members, we'll now move to the debate. Would any members wishing to speak please raise their hands high? Councillor Holland.
I would have thought more people would want to speak on this. It's an incredibly good report. I'd like to welcome it. I think it's extremely welcome, particularly given the context in which it's delivered. I think financially, the government has made such a hash of the economy that it is increasingly difficult to deliver quality services at a low price point, council tax wise, as this administration promised and has delivered. I think that we are right to highlight some of the fantastic things that have been achieved. I'd like to look at, for example, the Civic Pride programme. I assume the leader would agree with me, but if I could ask a question to the leader, it would be, does he agree that Civic Pride is something that our communities have and that we recognise and support? And it's not a programme that comes out of this council into the community. It is a programme that the community are very much at the heart of. I remember attending the launch of the Civic Pride investment fund. On that day, I was out with the deputy leader of the council in his ward. We participated in the litter pick with a number of partners involved in that, and we were surprised. Not surprised, I guess we were delighted that there was so little litter to pick across much of the area that we'd chosen. And that reflects extremely well on our local communities. I know that there are people who are quietly out there picking litter without ever appearing in a photograph having done so. I'm afraid I'm no longer a member of that club because there is a photograph of me on my latest leaflet doing that. But isn't that a marvellous situation to be in? It does also reflect well on this authority and our excellent record in street cleansing and associated cleaning. And that's something that we see at the committee that I chair, at the Finance Scrutiny Committee. We look at those indicators every time they are published, and it's an excellent set of figures. We do really well at keeping our environment clean and making our borough, not just our town centre, but every community, a welcoming place to be. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Holland. Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with everything Councillor Holland has just said. This is an excellent report. We have maintained a high standard of street cleanliness across the borough and deployed our neighbourhood delivery team to carry out efficient enforcement action to support this effort. I'd just like to say a few words. We're flying the green flag for our parks and open spaces. As you'll read in the annual report, the Green Flag Awards are an important benchmark and an internationally recognised accreditation for the provision of high-quality parks and green spaces. Each year, locations are judged against a number of criteria, including biodiversity, landscape, heritage, community safety, asset management and ground maintenance quality. We are pleased to have gained 6 Green Flag Awards this year for the Brampton, the Queen's Gardens, Woolstanton Park, Lyme Valley Park, Bradwell Crematorium and Keele Cemetery. So well done to everyone involved.
Thank you. I've had no indications from this side of the chamber, so I'll ask Councillor Wheeldon to speak next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All that I'd like to say is I'm not sure that everyone reads the content of the report probably as thoroughly as the rest of us do. But if you do, you realise just what an excellent service we provide, how the financial cautiousness and appropriateness is handled, how we must be one of the most successfully organised from a point of view of finance and delivery in the country as our borough. I don't think we bang that drum enough. I think it should be banged more, and people should realise how thorough it is. The people that speak to me and that I speak to, not just from my ward, but across the whole of the borough, almost take it for granted that we're now having the verges mown beautifully, that progress has been made in the city centre, that they're still getting the services delivered that they expect. And initially, I'm a Stokey girl, and it breaks my heart to see what's going on there. And it's a good comparator because it's so close. Our success is probably highlights their demise, and it's quite sad for me. But I think we should glow and gloat over how successful we are as a borough and not hide our lights under a bushel. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wheeldon. Councillor Heeson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will make this quick. I'm likely to have a coughing fit and nobody wants that. I'd just like to highlight a few things within my portfolio that I'm really proud of with the team and the community partnership work we do. Crime and antisocial behaviour is following a reducing overall trend for the second year in succession. And I think that's something we should be proud of. You know, it's making our town centre and the borough a safer place to come. We've secured funding as well to commission services and tackle priorities identified in the strategic assessment refresh, including the street medics and taxi marshals and various other things, and particularly the continuing provision of the safe space in Newcastle to improve safety for women and girls during the nighttime economy. I could carry on, but I think my colleagues have probably covered most of the things I wanted to say, but I did want to highlight those.
Thank you, Councillor Heasom. I assume there are no other members wishing to speak. So we now come to the, can I call upon Councillor Simon Tagg? Would you like to sum up, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just very quickly, thank you for those comments. I think civic pride, I think it's really important that we continue to press forward on that into different areas. We've seen recently the police campaign on e-scooters and e-bikes. We had conversations very early on with the police when we launched Civic Pride about moving in that direction. It's good to see that, you know, it's sort of an annoyance for people, also a danger for people as well. If you get e-bikes or e-scooters at very high speeds through the town centre or urban areas, I've had reports of people that have had near misses could have been serious accidents. So really pleased the police are beginning to crack down on that. I think in the future, we want the police to look into more enforcement of inconsiderate parking and obstruction as well, and we need to get the message out there. I think Civic Pride isn't just about enforcement or litter picks, it's also about changing people's attitudes and using the tool of social media and community groups to try and get the message out there about civic pride and civic norms that some people are no longer following, which they would have done in the past. So I think that's really key on that. I think David's quite right to highlight, like I join the congratulations for our parks maintenance teams on the green flags, ever increasing number of green flags. We've always done well on green flags in this borough over many years, but we've got more than ever now. And I think Jill's quite right to talk about the antisocial behaviour wins, not only in the town centre, but out and about in the community as well. So really pleased to move that this report be taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. The recommendations have been moved and seconded, so now we will move to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Thank you. That is unanimous vote. So members, the motion is carried. Members, we now turn to the next item of business on this evening's agenda, which is the Treasury Management Annual Report for the period 2024-2025. A copy of the report can be found on pages 45 to 55 of your agenda. Councillor Stephen Sweeney, would you please now introduce the report?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Treasury Management Annual Report for 24-25 ensures that the Council is embracing best practice in accordance with the CITFA Code of Practice. I'm pleased to confirm that all Treasury Management activity carried out during 24-25 has been done so in accordance with policies laid down in the currently approved Treasury Management Policy Statement, backed up by approved Treasury Management practices and schedules thereto, and the Annual Treasury Management Strategy Report for 24-25 approved by Council on the 14th of February 2024. Members of the Audit and Standards Committee are informed of these activities twice yearly. As of 31st of March 25, no external borrowing has been undertaken by the Council. The overriding consideration in terms of the Council's investment activity remains safeguarding the Council's capital within these constraints. The aim is to maximise return on investment. An average return of 4.77% was generated on investments during 24-25, earning interest income of £810,000. It won't be £810,000 next year because, of course, we're spending all the money on the town centre. What basically this report says is we have a Treasury strategy which sets out what we are doing. There's a Treasury management policy, there's Treasury management practices, and there's the annual report. Now, the annual report basically says we're doing everything that we said we'd do within the constraints of what we're supposed to be doing. It checks that everything's right, everything's done above board, and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And that's, in a paraphrase, really, is what this is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sweeney. Councillor Simon Tagg, would you like to second the recommendations?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to second them. And just to point out, obviously, when we manage the money that we have, whether that's through using it to bring in some interest, which, of course, Councillor Sweeney has talked about, we are in the hands of national policy. And if you read in the actual document itself, it talks about the economy and interest rates. And of course, we know that the economy isn't in a good state. We know we've got a budget coming up in the autumn that a lot of people are fearful about. And I think we really need the government nationally to enable this economy to grow so we can not only benefit from that here in Newcastle, but also across the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Members, we'll now move to the debate. Would any members wishing to speak please raise their hands high? No members wish to speak. Councillor Sweeney, still Councillor Tagg. Oh, right, we go. Councillor Simon Tagg, would you like to sum up, please?
Recommendation.
Thank you. The recommendations have been moved and seconded, so we'll now move to the vote on this. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Again, that's unanimous. We've got quite a lot of agreement this evening, which is good. So, members, the motion is carried. Members, we now turn to the next item of business on this evening's agenda, which is for an urgent decision notification. A copy of the report can be found on pages 57 to 61 of your agenda. Councillor Simon Tagg, will you please now introduce the report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you say, a notice of a decision was taken by the Chief Executive following the obviously change to the political makeup of the council. I'd like to welcome Sue Beeston to the Conservative group as our 26th councillor. Of course, she's been an independent councillor for going on for 18 months, but was previously a Labour councillor. So more than happy to welcome another member of the Labour group to the Conservative group, which we've had over a number of years moving in this direction. So that means that there are some changes to the makeup of the council. They're detailed in the report, and I won't go into those in detail, but they're obviously Sue taking up her positions, some changes that I've made on the back of that, and also our new councillor for reform in Nutton, Lynn Dean, also comes onto the planning committee, and we see that also detailed in the report. So I've got nothing further to add other than to move that we accept the urgent decision that was taken by the Chief Executive a few weeks ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Councillor Sweeney, would you like to second these recommendations, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to second that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sweeney. Members, we will now move to the debate. Would any members wishing to speak please raise their hands high? No members wish to speak. Councillor Simon Tagg, would you like to sum up, please?
Nothing further to add, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. The recommendations have been moved and seconded, so we now move to the vote on this. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Again, that's unanimous. Thank you, members. We now move to agenda item 9, which is the next item of business on this evening's agenda, and that's the leader's statement. A copy can be found on pages 9 to 11 of your supplementary agenda. I'm going to ask Councillor Simon Tagg if he would like to introduce his statement. I will then invite members to put questions to the leader or relevant portfolio holder. I will take each paragraph of the statement in turn and will invite up to 3 questions at a time before I ask the leader to respond. If I could remind members, this isn't a debate. Once the leader has responded, there is no right for members to reply. So, Councillor Tagg, would you like to introduce your statement, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to introduce the statement and obviously hand it over to members if you'd like to ask any questions or comments upon that statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Members, we note in paragraph 1 that Cabinet met on the 2nd of September. Do members have any comments or questions on any items from the aforementioned Cabinet meetings that are not covered in the leader's statement? No, thank you. So we move on then to paragraph 2, which is about Wally's Quarry and the odour issues. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 2? Councillor Adcock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to say, does the leader agree with me that it's concerning that we still don't have a timetable for the public inquiry, something that this council has consistently backed, something that was one of our key recommendations in the inquiry that we held last year, and that we've yet to have a response on this? Does the leader agree that it's regrettable that we haven't had a clear response from the government, and we call on the government and the MP to support us on this and get a timetable in place as soon as possible, because our residents deserve it?
Nobody else wants to speak on paragraph 2, so Councillor Tagg, would you respond, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Adcock, for the comments. Since the agenda has been published, obviously we now have had a response from the new Secretary of State, and unfortunately she doesn't wish to endorse a public inquiry. What I can do is I can supply that letter to Councillor Adcock and other members of the council to make their own view on this. But I think significantly we've seen the reduction of the odours complaints from the site through the effective works and management of the contractors brought in by the Environment Agency. And we continue to press for that permanent solution, including capping and restoration, and oppose any reopening of this site. I think we'd all put our hands up to support that. And persistently, we are pressing both the government, the Environment Agency and our local MP for that public inquiry, and we'll continue to do so because I think it's really important. I think the committee of inquiry that we had, Scrutiny Commission of Inquiry, asked for that. This council has had many resolutions where it wanted a public inquiry, and I think we need to learn the lessons of this, don't we? This crisis hopefully is beginning to come to an end, but we're far from the end, I think, and far from knowing what the full future of this site would be. But I think a commitment to at least a timetable for public inquiry is right, and I just wonder why ministers and civil servants are so scared of this, because I think what we need is full disclosure and a full inquiry into this. So I'll still keep pressing for that, but I will share the letter that I've received from the new Secretary of State relating to the response to the letter that we wrote after a previous resolution of this council about asking for a public inquiry. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. I think it would be helpful for the letter to be circulated, so thank you for offering to do that. Members, paragraph 3 is about the medium-term financial strategy 2026 to 27 to 2030-31. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 3? Councillor Beresford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I welcome the continued commitment to prudent financial planning through the Efficiency Board and the clear focus on maintaining a balanced budget while protecting frontline services to residents. It's good to see a massive regeneration projects, environmental sustainability and civic pride prioritised within the MTFS framework. Given the uncertainty around future government financial settlements, what contingency plans are in place within the MTFS to mitigate potential funding shortfalls?
There are no other no members wishing to speak. So, Councillor Tagg, would you like to respond, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Berrett. I'll pass this to Councillor Sweeney, who's within his portfolio.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Beresford. Thank you very much for the question. The MTFS has been developed with a strong emphasis on resilience and adaptability, recognising the ongoing uncertainty around future government financial settlements. To mitigate potential funding shortfalls, the Council has embedded a number of contingency measures. These include maintaining a prudent level of reserves, regularly reviewing service efficiencies through the Efficiency Board, and scenario planning to model different funding outcomes via the successful One Council model that has already saved £2,340,000. That's basically 1.073 times 2, which is the 2 years it's been running in its entirety. We're also exploring opportunities to diversify income streams via the commercial strategy. In addition, the Council continues to lobby central government for fair and sustainable funding, especially for services under increasing pressures such as temporary accommodation. Thank you, Councillor Beresford.
Thank you, Councillor Sweeney. Members, paragraph 4 is about the Kidsgrove Town Deal update and contract awards. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 4? Councillor Holland.
So very good to read about the progress that's been made on the Kidsgrove Town deal. It has been something that's been of constant concern at finance scrutiny when it's come. I was just wondering, the job opportunities at Chatterley Valley West, would the leader or the portfolio holder care to tell us how many are forecast, and would they agree with me that this is excellent for Kidsgrove and excellent for our borough? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And thank you, Councillor Holland. I'm not certain who's going to respond to that. Councillor Sweeney, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor. Yes, I had a great pleasure a couple of weeks ago to go to Chatterley Valley West and have a look at the progress, and the progress is substantial, really. All the sort of plateaus are levelled off now, where they're going to put these great big sheds and factories and whatever else they're putting on there. That's all. Nothing built yet, but it's all done. And what they were doing, they were signing it off from Howarth's, the levelling contractor. Sign off with Howarth's, big thing. And the next stage is the building process. Now, what is really good news? You might have heard me talking about 1,800 jobs, and you think, oh, 1,800 jobs now. But I'm getting information via the county council that if 1,800 jobs might be underestimating it. It might be more than 1,800 jobs into our borough. So it's an excellent scheme, and I absolutely welcome it. And it's really good progress. It's great to go there. It's a huge site, and long may it prosper. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sweeney. Members, paragraph 5 is about the Newcastle-under-Lyme Borough Local Plan 2020-40. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 5? Councillor Williams, John Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My points are on paragraph 2 of this item, what the planning inspector says. When the planning inspector talks about appropriate parking in the town centre, does she take into account the sale of car parks by this council? There is a problem to the east of the town centre, Astor Street area in particular. Apart from the Sky Building on Jolly Potter site and other apartment developments, where under provision of car parking is causing great concerns to residents and local businesses. We now see a planning application on the old Zanzibar site for more apartments, with well below council-owned parking numbers for living accommodation. I know that the planning application lies within the planning process, promoting the sale of the car parks by this council make the situation worse for residents and small businesses in that area. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Turnock, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm encouraged to see progress being made on the local plan. Places like Loggerheads, my ward, have been particularly affected in recent past by speculative development due to the absence of an up-to-date plan. Could the portfolio holder please confirm that the new plan guarantees a 5-year land supply so that further speculative development can be resisted? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turnock. Councillor Fear, I assume you're responding to this.
Sorry, we take a third one.
And sorry, I didn't see there was a third one. My apologies. Yeah, sorry. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to the portfolio holder for progressing the new borough local plan at pace and for sharing the feedback from the planning inspector. Getting the plan in place is the best short-term protection we have for our green spaces as it enables sustainable housing development. However, I remain concerned about the future of these green spaces in areas like Audley, as despite having entered into consultation with our residents in good faith for the last 3 years over the local plan, we now know that this Labour government, supported by our MP, Adam Jogi, wants to impose 2,000 additional homes on the borough. Now, the portfolio holder will be aware that the Audley neighbourhood plan has its referendum tomorrow. Can he outline how this plan will protect green spaces in Audley from Labour's stated policy of build, build, build?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Chris. My apologies for missing you. I didn't see you. So, Councillor Tagg, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll handle the first one at Hassel Street and then I'll hand over to the two local plan questions to the portfolio. I think in the Hassel Street Council, always be assured we are aware of those issues. We've already amended some proposals relating to the Hassel Street car park to enable there to be more spaces for businesses. We are aware of not only businesses but residents that need to park in those areas. And also we do get planning applications coming in, such as Zanzibar, which you say, which has a small level of parking spaces. But I must say, in the past we've had, for example, the Dickens Yard, which was Sky Building at the time, that was given permission many years ago. We've got a question about it later, with hardly any parking spaces as well. So, you know, we've had a long-running issue with parking issues in the town centre. But I think these sites which we are bringing forward, which were in the cabinet report, are ones which are, for example, the one in Garden Street, at the end of Garden Street. I challenge anybody to see when a car is actually parked in there. That is not a used car park. It's actually overgrown, full of weeds and graffiti at the moment. So I think an improvement there would be to use that as a brownfield site. We get a lot of complaints about building on green fields. Well, this is a brownfield town centre sustainable site. So that's one of those that you're bringing forward. But just to reassure councillors, we are aware of that the businesses do need to have places for their customers to park, and we intend to provide parking throughout the town centre. And we've got a brand new multi-storey car park on the edge of town as well, which can provide space as well for people to come, spend time in the town and visit the local businesses, and also have a coffee after before they need to go home. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Councillor Fear.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so I'll deal with the Loggerheads question first and then move on to Audley. So the main thing, of course, about predatory development in the borough is, and many members on all sides of this chamber will know the lovely old chestnut of the 5-year housing supply. And it's if we don't have one, pretty much all protection disappears. At the moment, we do not have one. Right. We will have one, hopefully, when our local plan finishes the examination period. We are progressing well in that regard, and I'm hopeful that that is not, you know, that day will dawn soon. What we've got to say there is that, of course, our timely movement with this plan means that, in fact, we are examined under an older system, which means that fewer houses are required, right? If we'd dithered with this plan, we would have ended up having to provide more houses in the borough. Now, if we can demonstrate we've got a 5-year housing supply and we've got allocated housing sites, sites outside of those allocations can be resisted. Right? So we've marked out our places, we've got our numbers, we'll all be okay. Alas, I hope Councillor finds that heartening. Unfortunately, as the poet once said, the tree of man is never quiet. And of course, we were given a most unwelcome Christmas present by the former Deputy Prime Minister at the end of last year, who changed the goalposts. That means that, as I say, had we not moved swiftly, we would have already been in a position whereby we'd have to allocate more sites. As it turns out, we can buy ourselves some time, but of course we are at the mercy of the national government, which could change the rules again. After all, none of them seem particularly good with figures, so it's not the case that they may not change those figures, and I fear they might well go in one way only. So what I can say is here in this borough, we have worked very, very hard to defend our borough from this sort of stuff. We will continue to do so, but the bolt from the, not from the blue, of course, the bolt from the red, so to speak, may well blight us in the future. That is something I'm afraid that's out of our control. Now let's move on to Audley. So I am indeed aware, having been taken through all the earlier permutations of the neighbourhood plan in Audley, that its referendum is coming up. And of course, like all public referenda, I urge people to participate. Public participation in decisions is a good thing at the end of the day. Now, what does this plan do? If it's adopted, it becomes part of our strategic development plan. In other words, it has weight along with the local plan, and let's not forget the good old minerals plan as well, that people always forget about. However, we've also got to be aware of what it does within that nest of documents. So if we look at paragraph 30, of the NPPF, the Bible. I'm sure that the councillor reads it every night religiously, as I do, and he will know that paragraph 30 states as follows, and I think I quote, neighbourhood plans should not provide less development than set out in strategic policies for the area for or undermine those strategic policies. Those strategic policies, of course, are set out in the local plan. In fact, it goes further than that because the devil, of course, is always in the detail in large documents, isn't it? If you look at paragraph 30, you will find that there is note 17. And note 17 says neighbourhood plans must be in general conformity with the strategic policies contained in any development plan which covers their area. So in other words, the neighbourhood plan is supplementary to, it nuances the local plan, but it does not change allocations within it. If we're serious about defending green space and such like, it is the local plan to which we have to look in that regard. So this is a good thing. And again, paragraph 31 tells us that neighbourhood plans take precedence over non-strategic policies set out in the local plan. Things like allocations for housing and such like are strategic policies, and consequently these things march in lockstep. So we can welcome the neighbourhood plan as fine-tuning, if you like, for what's going on, but the main protection for areas of green space and such like lies with, in my opinion, the local plan.
Thank you, Councillor Fear. Just in case I didn't see any other members, are there any other members wishing to speak? No, thank you. Councillor Simon Tagg, would you like to say anything further?
Nothing further on this item, Mr. Mayor.
Fine, thank you. So, members, we now move to paragraph 6, which is about the forced local government reorganisation update. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 6? Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Following sort of post-council resolution to look at a range of options, can the leader provide details of any conversations or agreements he has discussed with other authorities, please?
Councillor Adcock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very concerned regarding the financial impact of the ongoing discussions around this forced local government reorganisation. This council has already made clear its opposition to the Labour government's top-down restructuring, which risks the future independence of the borough and it makes decision-making more distant from our communities. Could the portfolio holder outline what immediate financial implications this process has had on the council so far? Are we seeing diversion of officer time and resources that could otherwise be focused on delivering services for our residents, as they should be?
Thank you, Councillor Adcock. Councillor John Williams, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Devolution is coming, and I'd like to see our council look at the opportunities on behalf of our residents, not bury its head in the sand. The council leader's report leads like he wants to the Royal Ancient Borough for his own shifting. He centres his agenda on the city of Stoke-on-Trent, who has supplied jobs for residents of our borough over many generations. He never mentions Staffordshire County Council proposals on devolution. I wonder why. Is he doing a deal with his mates at County Hall? I don't know Council Tagg's fallback position. I personally would like to see our borough be independent, knowing some of our residents' views. I've lived and worked here all my life, probably more than most of the people in this room. It's a big world out there, and I would like to rest for the best for our residents, looking for all opportunities. I want the best for our residents. I could go on about the financial mess the unity authorities are in, including Staffordshire County Council. After 13 years of austerity under the last Conservative government, who is surprised? Does the leader of the council want a North South authority or an East and West authority? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Tagg, would you like to respond to those three questions, please?
Okay, I'll respond to 1 and 3, and then the finance issue of LGR I can hand over to Steve. But thank you, Councillor Jones, for the question. I think, as I reported when we had the item at council last time, I've met with and still have done, and within, I think it was last Thursday, we had a leaders board meeting, which is all of the leaders of the county districts, the county and the city of Stoke to discuss this. I've also had individual meetings with a number of leaders and also outside of Staffordshire, Shropshire, Telford, also through the LGA at various points, as well as we take our resolution that we made at full council back in March and our submission to the government for an interim proposal as we go out now to see what others are going to do. I think we're still waiting to hear what a number of councils are going to do, particularly in the south. We know what Stoke's position is. Of course, the City of Stoke, they were first out of the traps on this, and obviously with that sort of takeover bid for Newcastle-under-Lyme, which of course is something we've already agreed in this council we're not happy with. And I think those conversations go on as we move towards the November 28th deadline. I've also spoken to the county council both before and since their proposals for an east and a west. And of course, the west side of that is actually one of the proposals we're investigating. But I will say, as I've said also previously, is that we didn't say anything about the eastern side. So I think people in Lichfield, Tamworth and Burton are now sort of doing no to Stoke campaigns. That rings a bell, doesn't it? We've been doing that since January here in Newcastle, and they've been doing that in Moorlands as well, because nobody wants to take on Stoke's financial burdens, which of course, because of the way the government have set up forced local government reorganisation, there is a need to deal with Stoke's problems for others to take on their bad management over many years. And I'm afraid that's going to have to be sorted out if these proposals are forced forward by this government. That's why we're contacting our MP, trying to get him to fight our corner. And I know that the new MPs in Burton, Tamworth and his staffs are now under the same type of pressure to get the government to reconsider on this, because now proposals have come forward which put other councils under threat from a merger into Stoke-on-Trent. Just on Councillor Williams', I think what we talk about here, we're talking about local government organisation, we're not talking about devolution. That's a different matter. There's already agreement across Staffordshire and with the city on devolution on that footprint to bring in that upper level money and powers from government over transport, over regeneration and over jobs and skills. We all agree that. What we don't agree is this sort of changes to local government underneath it, destroying 852 years of history, and actually not equating the debt which Stoke bring into any proposals and doing anything about that to start with, which isn't the government's policy. We have to pick up the bill, or somebody will have to. And I think I've already made and this group has, and I think this council has made its views known on this. We agreed that our preferred proposal would be a Newcastle unitary, and then we've also put forward other ideas for investigation. That is the Staffordshire Moorlands and Newcastle. Also, the western side of the M6 corridor, which would be Newcastle, Stafford, Cannock and South Staffs, which we're investigating, and also talking to Shropshire to see if there was any possibilities on this side to create a unitary that would work as well. But I will say that we're having a cabinet meeting in November. We've got a special council meeting on the 19th of November where we'll be bringing forward our final proposal from the consultants. They're still working on it. I'd like to thank Gordon, our Chief Executive, for working with them on that. And we'll be bringing a proposal which I believe will do a number of things. One, protect this borough's history, protect the finance of the borough, and also protect frontline services, which, as we've seen from the annual report, that we're not doing too bad at, and also begin to think about how we could create a unitary in Newcastle and make that thrive and prosper and continue the good work that we're doing. But I'll hand over to Steve now to answer the specific question from Rupert on the money already put into LGR before we even started.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Tagg. Councillor Sweeney, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this FLGR is absolutely insane. I've thought it from day one, and I still think it is now. The idea that it's going to save this council money is for the fairies. The idea that it's going to improve democracy is for the fairies. The idea it's going to be better services is for the fairies. I don't agree with it at all. I think it's insane. Money-wise, we've got £200,000 in this year's budget. That's paying for consultants and obviously the chief exec's time and things like that. Next year, there's another £400,000 being put in next year's budget to pay for we don't know what, because this thing doesn't exist yet, but we've put it on one side. So that's 600,000. Now, I hear you all crying, and I would ask the question if I was in those. Wouldn't £600,000 be better spent in the borough for the people of Newcastle? So I spoke to one of the senior officers today, and I says, what could £600,000 buy us that would help the lives of the people in Newcastle? Well, a new bin wagon. That's £250,000. So we could have 2 new bin wagons for the cost of this thing. Or we could have electric mowers rather than the petrol, diesel ones, whatever we use now. The street sweepers, we could have a couple of new street sweepers. This would all benefit the people of Newcastle. And that's the sort of money we cost. That £600,000, I believe, could be better spent. But that's just my opinion. But that gives you a rough idea of the sort of money we're looking at to start with, and it is the start. Because the worrying thing is this: is you sit on these video conferences calls with the government, and they haven't got a plan. You're not discussing their proposals because they haven't got any proposals. They're asking you for the proposals. So you are writing government policy. It just seems a bizarre way of doing this, but that's what you're doing. You're not. Yeah, we could do this, but we could change that sort of thing. Normal consultation. No, it's not that. We're doing it in the first place. It's absolutely weird. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Sweeney. Are there any other questions on this? Councillor Fear.
I think really Councillor Adcock has asked the question I wanted to do, and Councillor Sweeney, I was also going to ask what's this costing us, what could we spend that money on, and I think Councillor Sweeney's very eloquently pointed out the grotesque and perverse waste of money that this form of gerrymandering is entailing.
Thank you. Councillor Hutchison.
Yes, my question was very similar to Councillor Adcock's as well. But if there is money going spare, I'd rather spend the 600,000 on the Bradwell crematorium extension. I think that would be better for the borough than spending money for consultants to pay for something that we don't want.
Thank you, Councillor Hutchinson. Councillor Wheeldon, please.
Most of my career, I've dealt in facts and evidence. And so it makes me smile when I look at this proposal for government reorganisation. Who did the risk analysis? Where did the figures come from? Who decided that this was an optimum number? Why did they decide it? What's the justification? I go through everything that they've said about the reorganisation. I can find no evidence that will make this borough better off, or anybody that we merge with. I don't understand it other than it's a petulant decision that's just been plucked out of the air because it seemed quite a good idea. Whether it was to obfuscate and divert attention from something else, I'm not sure. But I find no evidence that will do anybody any good. And I don't understand why anyone would support it.
Thank you, Councillor Whelan. And Councillor Tack, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for those further comments, which are, I think, put across some of the frustrations about this. I just heard somebody on the Labour side, I don't know who was, saying, "Oh, will you chair the cabinet? You could, spend that money in those bins and whatever." But I will just remind everybody two things. One, this council made a resolution back in March to support a Newcastle only and to investigate a number of measures. There's a cost to that, of course, because the government won't allow us to do that internally. We could have our officers working. We've got a good team here. It has to be an external consultant. There's a cost to that. And I would say also, even if we weren't putting any proposals, if we put up the white flag and said we're going to be taken over by Stoke, we would have to start paying into their proposals, our part of their proposals. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous to say that we could spend this money on something else. We should be doing, but the decision of this government, the decision of our MPs locally, because they voted yet again for the next stage of this bill, is to force us down this route. There is strong opposition. I think it was held at the March meeting by everybody in this council. I think there's been two discussions in this full council about local government reorganisation. On two occasions, the Conservative group, Independent at the time, was here as well, supported Save Our Borough, and the opposition didn't. But by the time of the second meeting, just before the county elections, wonder there's significance over that, suddenly they were for Saving Our Borough. So we'll wait and see what happens in November when we bring back our final plan, which we will submit to the government, whether it gets support across this council chamber. But I think over 8,700 now people have signed the petition to Save Our Borough against the local government reorganisation. And this campaign is gaining pace all the time. There are mirror campaigns over in Moorlands and in other parts of the county. And I think our MPs need to listen. In the previous, I've said our MP. I think we are represented by 3 MPs across our borough, our loyal and ancient borough, and they need to stand up for our borough, and we will make sure that they do that and get that message to this confused, stalled government that we've got at the moment. It's going to get even worse over the next few months. So they've got bigger things to do than forcing local government reorganisation. And actually, going back to Councillor Williams's point, they're stopping devolution from taking place in Staffordshire because they want to mess around with council boundaries and who empties your bins before they could actually give us powers and money through devolution to actually make some big moves on transport, on jobs and skills. All of that is on the back burner, and a lot of people are waking up and realising that now, and I think the Labour group should do the same.
Thank you, Councillor Tack. Councillor Wilkes, please.
Yeah, thank you. Just for the leader, we've just mentioned the local plan. If we get taken over, will that local plan still stand, or are the fields in my ward going to be sold off and joined up with Cheshire?
There are no further questions, so Councillor Tack, please.
That's a really good point. Obviously, our local plan will get that on the books. at some point soon. And I think that will be then a standard local plan that would take us through to the, the start of a new council, wherever that will be, whether it's a merged or a takeover or a forced or a Newcastle unitary. Let's see what happens. Is then we'd have to do a new local plan. But if it is that we are merged into Stoke-on-Trent, you can imagine what the local plan would be. We've been down that route before. We've had a joint local plan under the Labour administration previously, which led to 13,500 homes being in that local plan over the plan period. We've only got, I think it's about 8,000 now, haven't we, in our local plan that's coming forward as the borough local plan. I've just seen some news from Stoke that they're trying to press ahead with their local plan now. And is it 18 or 19,000 homes that they are actually going to have in the city, and that's causing all sorts of problems out there with their consultations that's taking place. We would be on the hook again for housing, a big city housing growth, where we've decided in 2020 that we wouldn't, at the end of 2020, that we wouldn't pursue that anymore. We could do our own borough local plan. That has saved green space. That has led to a lower housing, more sustainable housing. And that's why our local plan should be adopted and be supported by everybody when we bring it back here. But the fear, Councillor Wilkes, is yes, if we are merged and taken over by the City of Stoke, because what it would be, we know that for size, population, etc., is that we would be forced into another joint local plan with them.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Members, paragraph 7 is about the financial and performance review report for the first quarter 2025-26. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 7? Councillor Beeston, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to commend the Council's continued commitment to public health and safety, particularly in the area of food hygiene. The latest performance report notes that just 0.41% of food premises in the borough are rated 0 or 1 out of 5, meaning urgent improvement is necessary by the business owner. This is a reassuringly low figure. But to give us the full picture and to reflect the high standards we expect in our borough, could the portfolio holder confirm what percentage of food premises are rated 4 or 5 stars? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beeston. Councillor Wheeldon, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's really important that we recognise the outstanding performance, and I use the word advisedly, outstanding performance of our recycling and waste team. According to the performance report for the first quarter, the percentage of successful collections stands at impressive 99.97%. I have to say that is impressive. If you look at nearby other authorities, it's horrendous. I'd be grateful if the portfolio holder could pass on my congratulations to the officer team for their continued professionalism and dedication. And while we're celebrating this success, could the portfolio holder also share how this performance currently compares to previous quarters, and whether there are any plans to build further on the council's already excellent recycling services? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wheeldon. Councillor Parker, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Finance being the hot topic of business this evening, and as other colleagues said, I would like to echo the giving thanks to officers, the leader and the cabinet for maintaining the strong performance of council services as outlined in the latest performance report. But given that the Staffordshire County Council's new reform leadership has recently approved £140,000 in spending on political assistance to advise their group, does the leader share my concern that this suggests a lack of experience or capability within their new cabinet to effectively run the county council? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Councillor Tagg, would you respond to those 3 questions, please?
I will hand Sue Beeston's and Joan Wheeldon's over to David, and I'll come back and answer Andy Parker's at the end. So, David.
Councillor Hutchison, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the food hygiene question, Newcastle-under-Lyme Borough Council Food and Hygiene Premises Inspection Team currently inspect 980 premises in the borough. A 5 rating means hygiene standards are very good, and this accounts for 892 premises, of which that's 91% of the total. Add this to the 4 rating, which means hygiene standards are good. This accounts for 59 premises, which is 6% of the overall total. So that means we have 951 premises, or 97% of the total premises that have a 4 or a 5 rating. Anyone watching tonight or in the room wants to check out their favourite eatery for their food rating can check them out at food.gov.uk, and the current food rating will be visible. On the recycling and waste question and comments, I'd like to thank Councillor Wheeldon for a good comment. I will pass that on to the team. The 99.97% success rate in collections means for every 10,000 collections, we miss only 3. The previous financial year, we finished on 99.95 successful collections, so we have improved by 0.2%, or by 2 collections in every 10,000. And Newcastle-under-Lyme Borough Council is still the only district council in the county that separately collects food waste. Last year we collected some 2,700 tonnes. We have now started to collect food waste from flats well ahead of the 2026 deadline. And along with Stafford Borough and in conjunction with Veolia, we are now collecting plastic film and other plastics under the simpler recycling legislation a full 2 years early. So well done, Newcastle. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Councillor Hutchison. Councillor Tagg, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the question from Councillor Parker. I was astounded when I saw the news come forward that the County Council were looking to employ political assistants. I think the £140,000 is for 2 political assistants, so 70,000 each. One will be for the Conservative group. I confirm, put my county hat on for the moment, that the Conservative group will not be taking up the offer of political assistant. We've also, and I've been one of the signatories, have called in that decision, so there'll be a debate at the County Council over that. I think political assistants will not lead to one more pothole being filled. It won't lead to one more SEND child being sorted through the system quicker, and it won't lead to any social care improvements. And I think I'm mystified because I've seen the County Council run under reform, and I think they are getting on with the job that they've been elected for. But I don't think they were elected because I think they were elected on an alternative packet, was to make savings and Doge and all of that. But this is the opposite, spending money on things that don't actually give anything benefit to the residents of the borough or the county as a whole. So I'm against it, and I'm obviously just confirm that I will be supporting the call in to reverse that decision. Hopefully the new administration at the County Council will reconsider and focus on what it should be doing, and that's frontline services, repairing potholes, and all the other things that the county deals with for us in the borough and across the whole of the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Councillor Heeson, please. Sorry, I thought you were waving your arm to attract attention. My apologies. Are there any other speakers on this? Thank you. Members, paragraph 8 is about the forward plan. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 8? No. Thank you. Members, that concludes the leader's statement. We'll now move to the next item of business. So agenda item 10 is the reports of the chairs of the scrutiny committees. This is agenda item 10. The report can be found at pages 13 and 14 of your supplementary agenda. Reports are attached for the Economy and Place Scrutiny Committee, the Health and Wellbeing and Environment Scrutiny Committee, and the Finance, Assets and Performance Scrutiny Committee. These reports are for information and noting. Please can the reports be received? Thank you. The reports are duly received. Members, the next substantive item of business is the reports of the chairs of the regulatory committees. This is agenda item 11. The report can be found at pages 15 and 16 of your supplementary agenda. Reports are attached for the Planning Committee and the Licensing and Public Protection Committee. The Audit and Standards Committee has not met since the last meeting of the full council. These reports are here for information and noting. Please can these reports be received? Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 12. The next item of business is motions of members. The motion concerning inappropriate accommodation for asylum seekers in Newcastle-under-Lyme has been submitted, proposed by Councillor Holland and seconded by Councillor Fear. It can be found on pages 63 to 66 of your agenda. Councillor Holland, would you like to speak on your motion, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion tonight aims to support a stream of work already initiated by the leader to prevent the inappropriate accommodation of asylum seekers in our borough and to call on government and our representatives in Parliament to adopt a more locally informed approach to asylum seeker accommodation, one which involves and utilises the local knowledge and skills of local authorities. In moving the motion, I don't especially want to rehearse the events that have taken place in Epping. It's enough to say that legal process there is still ongoing. But one effect of that has been there is a national public focus on asylum seeker accommodation, what they call migrant hotels, and the other ways in which the government's contractor ordains and secures dispersal accommodation for the increasing number of asylum seekers in the system. What is clear and what is the focus of the motion is that our residents expect us to take a stance on this and to use whatever power we have to defend the best interests of our communities. There are grave consequences associated with the status quo, both for asylum seekers and the communities where they are placed. Our administration here has been very clear that hotels in our borough would be a deeply unsuitable choice for the government to be warehousing people with an application for asylum. And it is difficult for me to imagine any situation in which a large concentration of people in the asylum system could appropriately be placed here in the borough. Nevertheless, we know the Home Office disperses asylum seekers in every part of the country. And the growing burden of supporting people whose claims the government has yet to assess exacts a cost on communities everywhere. I'm here tonight to ask members to endorse this motion, which is phrased in fair and proportionate terms, a motion which empowers our leader to continue his work on this important matter and gives reassurance to our residents that we will defend them from inappropriate actions of the Home Office and its contractor in the future. In respect of the final resolution printed, I do note that since the publication of the motion, a response has been received from the MP, which I think has been circulated to members tonight. I'm glad to be of service. To the extent that the MP's letter is about his position on asylum accommodation, I welcome his support in resisting inappropriate decisions from the Home Office that might affect his constituency. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Holland. I was informed before the meeting that a copy of the MP's letter had been provided to all members on their desk. Councillor Fear, would you like to second the motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'll second the motion and I will, if I may, reserve my right to speak in the debate.
Thank you, Councillor Fear. Members, we now move to the debate. Please raise your hands if you wish to speak on the motion. Can you keep your hands up for the moment whilst we take a note of the members wishing to speak? That's the Brown to start. Thank you. Can we start with Councillor Brown, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't expecting to be first, so just thank you for your patience. We've been given the opportunity to debate this issue, which is current and important, but it is one which raises fear and anxiety. In the words of the chaplain tonight, I hope we can debate this in the most practical way, ensuring a river of peace in this chamber. As elected members, we should work alongside community leaders to promote a calm and kind approach. Whilst I have seen window posters saying refugees welcome in Newcastle, many of my residents tell me charity must begin at home. For 3.5 years, I've tried to help them with a variety of issues, and I've been very vocal at various committees about a dire lack of available social housing. As a member of the planning committee, time and time again, I hear that no additional infrastructure will be put in place alongside new developments, and the strain on available services has become intolerable. The austerity years have resulted in a weakening of the public services people rely on. This is not just housing, but medical appointments, leisure and recreation facilities, and the privatisation of care and early years provision. Ever likely, people feel like the cupboard is bare. So when permission is granted, despite over 50 objections, for a 15-bed HMO at the former Conservative Club site on Church Street, Silverdale, rumours start to circulate that this will be used to house asylum seekers. I therefore read resolutions 1 to 3 of this motions with great interest, as there is much there that I can agree with, particularly that accommodation used for asylum seekers is appropriate and sustainable. I also welcome the call for a collective and informed approach with an emphasis on local communication and transparency. I am less in favour of point 4, as I believe that the MP has so far done a good job in getting to the truth of the situation at Gordon Court, Nutton, working with stakeholders to urge calm in the face of protests and community tension. Furthermore, he sets out his position in a letter that I can support dated 22nd of September. However, on the principle of best fit, I am minded to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Councillor Whitmore, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a thing I've highlighted from the residents. We've had asylum seekers been placed in a block of flats in Madeley. They are isolated there as there are not enough facilities in the village and the buses run sporadically to the town. The flats have recently been gated off so they don't freely interact with the community. I don't think this is an ideal placement for them due to the reasons above, and I fully support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whitmore. Councillor Williams, please. Sorry. Councillor Jill Williams, please. I do apologise for that confusion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will be my usual blunt self. Where on earth have the leader and his fellow Tories been living this past 10 years? I and fellow councillors have been fighting the use of HMOs for years in our borough. Local elections and devolution are pending, and Councillor Tagg and his fellow Tory members awaken to the fact HMOs are a threat to our borough. The leader of this council and his government have done nothing about HMOs for years. Now they are suddenly a threat to their positions more likely. I will not be voting for this motion tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Jill Williams. Councillor John Williams, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we've got a free vote in our group because it's a very important matter to discuss. Firstly, I would like to say about the inclusion of the attack on our MP, Adam Jody, in this motion made by senior Conservative members of this council using playground politics. The MP has responded to my letter, Christ, Councillor Simon Tagg. What am I going to do? Oh, I'll tell everyone about it. How sad. And the MP's office is yards away from from his workplace. Hasn't he got access to emails? Anyone with responsibility of our residents' well-being would suggest a face-to-face meeting with our MP. Is it above his mighty attitude not to have a meeting face-to-face? Adam has already had a face meeting with the Staffordshire County Council's leader. On the motion itself, I intended to vote for the motion because of the amount of HMOs in my ward. But now I intend to vote against it. Reading it over and over, it's my opinion that this motion has emanated from Conservative HQ just to make cheap political points. On the point of HMOs in my ward, over many years, family homes have been converted to HMOs, lost for use by our residents. Not to mention the fly tipping around these properties and disrespect of some of the landlords for our communities. In the past, along with other councils, I've tried to stop them happening through the planning process, but it's very hard to find reasons for refusing them. I'll be voting against this motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor John Williams. Councillor Wheeldon, please.
There are 4 points that the council resolves to do. How anyone cannot support this. I'm absolutely staggered. There is quite an age-old saying that charity begins at home. I see lots of people who seek accommodation. Along with another councillor the other week, I was actually trying, although it wasn't my ward, I was supporting the situation, trying to find accommodation for a young lady who had problems with a disabled husband, a child in tow that had special educational needs, and there was nowhere to be found at all. So we are short of accommodation. To then turn around and say, let's take every waif and stray in from Europe who happens to think that they can come for an easy ride is absolutely abhorrent. I cannot believe anyone could not support this motion. I fully support genuine asylum seekers. I do not support people, young men, middle-aged men, getting on a boat, leaving family and wives behind who are supposedly in a threatened area, coming across the ocean and living off our charity. It's absolutely disgraceful. These 4 points in this motion are very mild to what I feel about the situation, and therefore I will wholeheartedly support this motion, and I cannot understand why anybody would not.
Thank you, Councillor Wheeldon. Councillor Gorton, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not for the first time, I think I'm going to be out of step with some of my Labour colleagues, but we have a free vote on that. I've come along this evening, Mr. Mayor, with the intention of supporting the motion as worded, and I've heard nothing in the debate so far that would dissuade me from that view. I support the motion because I think it makes a number of valid points. First, it highlights the secrecy of government departments, secrecy which means that councils are often excluded from key decisions over the designation of accommodation for asylum seekers, and this approach can result in councils and residents feeling powerless. It also encourages rumour and misinformation. Second, the motion argues that hotels and houses of multiple occupation do not provide appropriate accommodation for people who are seeking asylum. Now, in fairness, ministers have acknowledged that hotels provide a model that is ill-suited to the needs of asylum seekers. And if my Labour colleagues need any more convincing of that view, then I'd advise them to read the recent interview with the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, who described asylum hotels as dangerous and unacceptable. Houses of multiple occupation are not an alternative to hotels. Many residents often view, with some justification, HMOs with disfavour. Accommodation of this kind is not always properly managed by landlords. It was reported that when Epping Forest District Council began its legal action to prevent a hotel from being used to house asylum seekers, many other authorities, including some Labour-run councils, looked at their planning powers with a view to establishing whether they could block the Home Office from placing asylum seekers in hotels and shared houses or flats. I am sure that the action proposed in the motion is already being taken by many councils throughout England, irrespective of their political control. It's designed to reassure residents and to get the point across that councils should not be excluded from key decisions over the placement of asylum seekers. Mr. Mayor, my final remarks really concern the point 1 under the heading "The Council Believes." And this point refers to the borough's proud history of welcoming individuals and families from all backgrounds. And I think the truth of this statement is shown by the humanitarian work of one of our great political leaders, which was Colonel Josiah Wedgwood, who represented the Borough Council, the Borough, from 1906 until 1942. In fact, Colonel Wedgwood's work on behalf of Jewish refugees from Nazi persecution is the subject of a talk tomorrow afternoon at our excellent Brampton Museum. And I see no contradiction between this motion and Newcastle's record of welcoming individuals and families fleeing tyranny and persecution. And that's why I shall be voting for it this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Gorton. Councillor Rees, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In principle, I do not object to the motion, but I am suspicious of the motivation behind it. I would ask, why wasn't this a priority 2 to 3 years ago when the Conservative government were pioneering the use of hotels to accommodate asylum seekers? I would also ask, where was the leader 6 weeks ago when some residents in Nutton were protesting against non-existent plans to house asylum seekers in the area? All in all, this motion feels like a fabricated tissue of concerns about a non-existent threat whipped up for political gain. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rees. Councillor Allport, please.
I have to agree with Councillor Rees on the points that he's made, although I do agree that hotels are not, or HMOs are not suitable accommodation for asylum seekers. However, the motivation behind this motion, I think it's political. I think some of the comments you've made, Mr. Councillor Wilden, are very political.
Sorry, could we keep order in the chamber, please? Councillor Allport, will you continue, please?
I mean, there isn't a problem with asylum seekers, and if they go through due process, people who aren't genuine asylum seekers will and have been deported. But for over a long period of time, these people, and they are people, they're human beings, have been dehumanised by various media and social media outlets, particularly the Daily Mail. And it's, this is what happened in the 1930s in Germany. And we don't want, it's all been very worded very carefully, but it is, I think, in response to mass hysteria about this subject. And I might just got a few facts here. Under the Conservative government, there were over 400 hotels being used to accommodate asylum seekers. The number under Labour government now stands at 213. Under the Tories in 23 to 24, the bill to the public purse was 3.1 billion, and this year it's 2.1 billion. So progress is being made on deciding who is a genuine or not genuine asylum seeker. I still haven't decided whether I will support the motion, but I needed to make these points because we are potentially headed in a very dangerous territory on this particular topic.
Thank you, Councillor Allport. Councillor Lawley, please.
Thank you. I think this one is a mixture of feelings in terms of this motion. I have to say I agree fully with what Councillor Jill Williams said earlier. I think this is a tactical play, and I would definitely question the motivation of the other side of this room. That said, I don't disagree with the content, and as a councillor for the Bradwell ward, I take my responsibility very seriously, and I believe voting for this would be representing my ward, so therefore I would be voting for that.
Thank you, Councillor Lawley. Councillor Fear, do you wish to sorry, Councillor Sweeney, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologise to Dr. Fear for jumping in. Yeah, a couple of things really. I think what Councillor Brown was saying at the beginning, really, putting a extra stress on local services, and of course, Councillor Gorton, as ever, speaks absolute common sense. All we're saying really is work with us a bit for the government instead of placing people over the place. I mean, I can't blame people who want to leave war-torn France and come to here, but we just want people to talk to us. You talk about the place in Nutton, where there was some, it was on Facebook, so therefore it must be true that we're going to put asylum seekers in there. I've got a similar facility in Clayton called Gloucester Grange. I think it might be the same company actually, and Gloucester Grange, and people coming to me with concerns about who was going in this. And the company run it said, no, we're not putting asylum seekers. We're putting sort of long-term lets. One of activists actually lives in there. And but it's lack of communication. It's the secrecy. It's the hidden stuff. I think that's what frustrates people. They just don't know what's going on, and it doesn't really seem right by me. But no, that's what I've got to say. Thank you very much. I'll pass over to Dr. Fee, who I feel will probably be more eloquent than I am.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Sweeney. So now, Councillor Fear, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This light is flashing, so if I'm cut off in my prime, probably general rejoicing, but nonetheless. Yes, it's curious, isn't it, listening to some of the contributions from the Labour side, and I welcome their support of this motion, but I couldn't half help being reminded by some other comments of the old royalist song from the English Civil War. It is for His Majesty that we against him fight. We agree with the motion, but I'm going to vote against it. Oh, well, never mind. I've never understood socialism, mercifully, and I've no intention of starting now. This is about localism at the end of the day, isn't it? When the Conservative-led council in Epping decided to defend its residents and won a court case, I think we all knew what was coming next. And my heart sank when that came, because what we had there is the overriding of a local community by more distant people. And this, I think, is precisely the danger that Councillor Gorton spoke about. What we see with these policies is alienation, a growing distrust of the basic institutions of this country. Councillor Gorton rightly talked about secrecy, and I think that secrecy isn't just about government departments, although I quite agree with him that secrecy is there. It's also the faceless companies who pick up these tasks. I'm not quite sure how these people sleep at night, nonetheless they do. But nonetheless, we produce this atmosphere of distrust about institutions that really, if we don't trust them, our society will crumble away. This, of course, is a primary Conservative thing. Edmund Burke, many, many years ago, talked about the value of the small platoon. The small platoons in this country feel that they're being ignored. They are increasingly angry about that. If we don't listen to those people, trouble will ensue. The point of this motion is to try and make sure that those voices are heard, that trust is restored to those institutions. Now, we would all like, of course, extra services and such like. One thing that strikes me, of course, there is that were we to stop this disastrous policy of housing soi-disant asylum seekers in hotels at the price, I believe, at the moment of £41,000 per head every year, that is higher, of course, than the average wage in this country, which weighs in at just under £38,000, I believe. Maybe some of those services could be provided. There is a danger in the whole thing. Again, it is something which is perceived by the general public. They see that this is ridiculous. They are right to perceive that it is ridiculous. Here, I think we have an opportunity to say we're on the side of the small battalions. We want to defend our community. We don't think this is right. It was nice to see, in the end, the MP putting his oar in, as the Spanish say, más vale tarde que nunca. It's a little bit of a shame that we couldn't have had something a little bit earlier. That frustration, I think, was building up in the council. And again, it's all about trust and such like. I can't see how anyone could resist this motion. As I say, curiously, those who say they're going to vote against it tonight actually agree with it in principle, but they're going to vote against it anyway. That, I guess, is just tribalism. It's a bit of a shame. But nonetheless, we do need to make sure that local people's voices are heard. We do need to make sure that if democracy means anything, those voices are taken firmly into consideration. They are the driver of our community. Our people should be telling us what to do, not being the passive recipients of policies of faceless men, overriding them and slapping them in the face. In that regard, I hope that everyone will vote for this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Fear. Councillor Holland, do you wish to speak, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank members that have participated in the debate. I think that many members spoke extremely well. Thanks to Councillor Brown, who opened the debate by stressing the need to debate this very emotive issue in a calm way. I think Councillor Whitmore raised a very good example locally of a Home Office accommodation for asylum seekers that is inappropriate. The services, the infrastructure simply are not there in some places, and it is as bad for the asylum seekers on the receiving end as it is for communities on the providing end. John and Jill Williams spoke characteristically. I have to say, in relation to HMOs in the past, they will know that I have been an advocate for Article 4 directions to prevent saturation. But Councillor Jill Williams also knows that in the past, we've not been talking about asylum seekers. We've been talking plainly, I think, about students in her ward, but that is a different quality of resident. I feel that we must put aside what we might have thought before. Thanks to Councillor Wheeldon for her support. Thanks to Councillor Gorton for what was a very well-considered speech. Councillors Rees, Allport and Lawley all asked why now? Why is this coming forward? What are the motivations of the proposer? I'll be quite honest, this is the time that I was asked to bring the motion forward. The Leader of His Majesty's Opposition, I think publicly, not just among Conservative Party local authority members, but publicly has made clear in the aftermath of the initial ruling on the Epping case that it would be appropriate now for Conservative groups to promote a motion of this nature. This is not the motion that she would have suggested. This is certainly more nuanced than the motions that have been brought forward, I think, at some other authorities. There is a satirical newspaper online which has a very famous headline, which is "Heartbreaking, The worst person you know just made a great point. Well, I may be the worst person you know, but I hope that members, when they're considering whether to vote for or against the motion tonight, will be able to separate my awful personality and my dreadful motivations from the text of the motion, which, as I've said, I think is fair and proportionate. I would just say to Councillor Rees, who asked whether this was a fabricated tissue of concerns, I did not want to go into any detail at all about the situation in Epping, but he will know, as other members know, that this week a resident of that hotel has been jailed for violating a child. I do not believe that the concerns of my residents or of those more widely across the country are a fabricated tissue. I will leave members to judge whether or not they think that the motion is well timed. In response to the concerns that have been raised about the last 9 words of the resolution, so that last resolution which does mention the MP, I can only say that prior to the publication of the motion, we did not have a response from the MP, and now we do. And in scrupulous fairness to him, his letter is quite punchy politically, and members know that it's been entered into the record. So in exchange for what I consider a reasonably tame censure, saying that we regret that the response didn't come sooner, he has been given an opportunity for his words to be shared very widely indeed. So thank you very much to members. I hope you'll be able to vote for the motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Holland. Councillor Tagg, do you wish to sum up, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, some good, I think, debate across the chamber about this, and I'll respond to some points before I get into my summing up that have come up during the debate. I think it started off with Councillor Jill Williams. Thank you for your comments, but I don't agree with them. I think you're wrong. And if you recall, the only active Article 4 direction in this borough is in Sandy Lane, relating to the old Birchie's home there, which me as local councillor for the area at the stage, and also the residents fought against an inappropriate at that point student accommodation. Article 4 directions are very useful and they can be used, and we have one in place there because of the work of local councillors and the residents. So I think I know all too well about Article 4 directions, and I've used them, and I've argued with previous planning officers in this council for many hours about them until we finally got that in place, which was an achievement and led to a good development at the end of Sidmouth Avenue there which is great for the community there. I think Councillor John Williams, I think all I would say is, and other cabinet members will know this, and the chief executive will know this, and my secretary will know this, we have tried to get quarterly meetings with Adam Jogi, but his office has not been forthcoming in setting those up with us. I have had them with David Williams. I have had them with one at the moment with Lee Ingham, but we're getting more up and running. About a couple with David over the last year, but unfortunately not with Adam Jogi. So it's not for want of having a meeting with the MP, and perhaps I would appeal to him if he's watching this to get around the table with us and let's get a date in the diary. For the other issue to do with, I think it was Councillor Rees, Councillor Holland has dealt with that, but I would say I was responding to residents' concerns about Gordon Court as well that were coming in touch with me. I contacted our chief executive and found out what the situation was, and then reassured people that were contacting me about that one, which I think is the important thing to do on that, and that's what we should all do. We should calm down community fears if they're misplaced. Councillor Allport, I think you're quite right. Extremists can overrun this debate and make things worse. That's why we, as the more sensible people in the room and the more stable people in the room and the elected people in the room, should actually talk about it and bring this motion forward. And what I did originally by raising this, as I did in the statement back in August, is that we take control of this issue, and we do want more control locally over what happens in our borough, which I think is really important on that one. But I will say that this motion addresses the matter of growing concerns both locally and nationally for the placement of asylum seekers in inappropriate accommodation. And our borough has a proud record of helping those in need. I think it was Councillor Gorton that said about historically, well, I'll say in just the last 10 years or so, probably less, Afghan evacuees who were displaced from obviously Afghanistan were brought to the hotel by the M6 at Junction 15, and our council officers stepped up, and so did the county council officers at the time stepped up and helped those families to readjust, and now they've been distributed across the country. We also took in displaced Ukrainian refugees for the evil war that's going on there, perpetrated by Russia. And we've always welcomed those in genuine need, and we continue to do so. But that welcome has to be matched by proper planning, support and consultation. And we cannot accept a system that places vulnerable individuals into unsustainable housing, such as HMOs and short-term lets, which without the infrastructure and the oversight to ensure their well-being and those of our communities that we represent. My statement and letter to the MP raised those concerns and outlined the steps that have been taken with our partners, including Staffordshire County Council, the other Staffordshire districts and the City Council and the Police and Crime Commissioner, and the proactive steps to review legal options and the review of Article 4 directions, which, as I've said previously, we've used in the past, which shows that this council is not afraid to act on behalf of our community when we feel it is at risk. We're not hosting asylum seeker hotels, as already has been said at present, but that does not mean we are immune to the pressures or potential consequences of the case in Epping, and demonstrates how quickly these issues can escalate and how vital it is that the council are consulted and not bypassed, which seems to be the way things happen at the moment, not just with this government, but also with the previous government as well. And I can remember sitting in a leaders board meeting 18 months ago when the then leader of the county council had been down to meet the then Home Secretary, a Conservative Home Secretary, and came back with no reassurances whatsoever, and that Serco would actually be communicating as the Home Office's contractor with local councils to ensure that there was a smooth transition of people if they were being brought into our area. So not bypassed is really important, and that still stands. This motion is about ensuring that national decisions reflect local realities, and it's about standing up for both our residents and those seeking refuge by demanding that the system works. This debate has shown that there is a broad support for more collaborative and transparent approach, and locally and also nationally and regionally, on the approach to asylum accommodation. And we're not asking for special treatment, we're asking for fair treatment for our communities and for consultation. And then it reflects the needs of our borough and also the capacity within our borough. Now, I'm not the only leader that's saying that. I think leaders across this county, across this nation are saying the same thing. And certainly in Epping, they have said that and they have taken legal action based on that. I regret the tone of the belated response from our MP. I think it's there to be read for everybody to see. I'm not going to pick. I could spend half an hour going through it and picking faults in it, but I won't. But we urge him and the government to listen to the voices of local councils on behalf of the residents who do not have the luxury of living in ivory towers in London. We are ready to work in partnership, and we must be part of the conversation, not just the consequences. And I support this motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. So, members, the motion has been moved, seconded, and debated. So we now move to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Were there any abstentions? Thank you. The motion is carried. And members, that concludes this item of business. Agenda item 13, questions to the Mayor, Cabinet members and committee chairs. Members, questions I've received notice of 2 questions for the leader and cabinet members. These can be found on page 17 of your supplementary agenda pack and will also be shown on the screens. Thank you. It's now shown on the screen. I will ask the leader or the relevant cabinet member to respond to the question as shown, after which I will ask the member who submitted the question if they have a supplementary question. Could I remind members that if they have a supplementary question, it must be a question and not a statement, and it must be concise, focused, and relate to the subject matter of the initial question and answer. The first question is from Councillor Jacqueline Brown regarding enforcement of bins on pavements and is on the screen. Councillor Hutchison, your response, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Brown for her question. To answer the question, yes, there is a procedure that was approved in August 2023. It's a staged approach to enforcement as follows. Number one, we have education, letters and flyers to be sent to the hotspot areas to educate on the waste management system and the requirements of the council. Member support and engagement is pivotal at this point. Letters are currently sent by the Customer Hub in response to all complaints in relation to waste management issues, outlining the expectations of the Borough Council. We then have a three-stage process. Number one, stage one, a warning letter to be issued to properties where issues have continued. This is something that is already undertaken by the Council under the Section 46 process. Stage two is a community protection warning, which will outline what is expected of the householder in relation to waste management. This will be issued to the householder and landlord where deemed appropriate. And then finally, stage three is a community protection notice. This identifies the expectations and requirements that an owner-occupier need to follow in relation to the presentation of waste and asks them to formally comply with the requirement of the notice. Failure to comply with the notice is a £100 fixed penalty notice. Since the procedure was approved, the Neighbourhood Delivery Team has carried out extensive work in a number of wards across the borough, including my own, where this issue has been reported by either residents or elected members. It should be noticed that the issuing of a fixed penalty notice is a last resort and is only considered appropriate where engagement and education has not resulted in an improvement to the situation. So in Silverdale, following Councillor Brown's report, officers visited George Street, Kinsey Street and Church Street and delivered letters to residents, knocking on doors and providing face-to-face advice where contact was made. A small number of bins were found to be abandoned and they were subsequently uplifted. This resulted in a significant improvement to George Street and Kinsey Street, although one resident in Kinsey Street was ultimately fined with the fixed penalty notice after the procedure was exhausted. The issues in Church Street were most significant and work was done to engage further with residents, revealing that some required an assisted collection or some further advice. It should be noted that no resident complaints were received for any of the three streets mentioned in Councillor Brown's question. I urge ward members to encourage residents to report such issues to the council so that they can be actioned. The message to residents and to elected members is report it, report it, report it. The more you report, the more resources will be available to fix the problem. If no report, we do not know there is a problem waiting to be fixed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hutchison. Councillor Brown, do you have a supplementary, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, David, for that very comprehensive answer. Just to confirm, did you say one resident was fined on Kinsey Street?
Yeah, I confirm there has been one resident issued with a fixed penalty £100 notice on Kinsey Street.
Thank you for that, Councillors Brown and Hutchison. The next and final question is from Councillor Andrew Parker regarding Deakin's Yard and is on the screen. Councillor Tagg, your response, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Parker, for the question. I'll go in a bit of detail on this if I could. And I'd like to highlight the role the council played in protecting public safety in the recent and serious case highlighted in the question and the comments made publicly by the MP. It was our building control officers who first raised the alarm back in December 2024, identifying potential risks and alerting the building safety regulator. Their evidence proved crucial in securing an injunction to prevent occupation of the building in question. From that point on, the council worked closely with Staffordshire Fire and Rescue Service, kept up the pressure to ensure action was taken. In August this year, our Chief Executive activated an incident response approach supported by the Local Resilience Forum to mitigate the immediate risk. This included coordinating emergency short-term accommodation and support for those affected, ensuring clear and timely communication with residents, stakeholders and the wider public trust was maintained, minimising disruption through multi-agency collaboration and preparing a smooth transition to recovery on this issue. A major focus throughout was the safe rehousing of the students, making sure they were placed in the appropriate accommodation, not left financially vulnerable. Our staff were hands-on throughout, engaging directly with developer stakeholders, solving the situation. Now that developers agreed to cooperate with the building safety regulator, the council will continue to meet regularly with that regulator to ensure there is no long-term impact for residents on the wider community. This was a strong example of proactive leadership, partnership working and putting residents first. And I want to thank all involved for their professional and dedication, also to Keele University that also stepped in and gave accommodation to those students that had thought they were moving into some accommodation for the start of the year, and that wasn't allowed to happen. The MP, Member of Parliament, was Adam Jogi, was given a full briefing by the Health and Safety Executive and our officers before he spoke publicly. I believe he was on Radio Stoke and doing media reports on this. So to the second part of the question, thank you, Councillor Parker, for that. And the MP has asked, obviously, that the reasons for while permission was given for this. But I think, as we know, obviously it was the old Jubilee pool site that was sold by this council back in 2015-16. Also, the planning decision took place in 2016 into 17. So the sale and permission, and I believe the question over due diligence lies with the previous administration at this council. Some of the members opposite on the Labour group are still here who are cabinet members at that. I mean, I've said in this council before, and there's an answer to a question from former councillor Brocky a couple of years ago, is that, of course, the fire sale, as I like to call it, of the former Jubilee Pool site was to a company that had only been set up several months earlier. And on the day that the transfer from this council to that company took place, it was then transferred on to the developer from the Liverpool area that then, obviously, in the end, left a lot of investors without money and a half-built site, so that pre-2018, the site had already stopped work and there were failed attempts throughout. So I think we can be pleased that the building is actually finished on the exterior, but there is more to do inside before that building can be occupied. And that has, of course, got to meet the satisfaction of the Health and Safety Executive, because they are the key regulators on that, particularly post-Grenfell, with the issues that we all know about there and that need to ensure there is safe accommodation. So I think we do, I think it says in the question that the MP should look close to home when he's throwing aspersions out against our officers, particularly on radio and media. And I think it has been dubbed Labour's folly, that building across there, in the past by many. And I think we have to really, Mr Jogi, I think I can vent my spleen a bit now if I can, Mr Mayor, on the MP. I can refer back to the letter he's just put in. And I think he needs to grow up a bit when he comes to talking about Newcastle issues, and particularly this council, because this council is working hard, its officers, day and night, often 7 days a week for this borough. And the way that he contacts officers, the way that he treats members is not good enough. And I think he should grow up as an MP and actually treat us with more respect. And on this issue, he should be asking questions of his own side, not criticising others. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Councillor Parker, do you have a supplementary, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think after the leader's comments and statement there, I think I will reserve the right to ask. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That concludes this item. Moving on, members, the next item is to receive petitions from members. I've not been made aware of any petitions to be handed in this evening. Agenda items 15 and 16 relate to urgent business and confidential business, respectively. I have no urgent or confidential business that needs to be considered this evening. Members, that therefore concludes the business for this meeting, and I therefore declare the meeting closed. Thank you.
All right.